Hi, my name is John, and you're watching American Enlightenment. Our guest today is David Leale from Pinnacle Health and Spa. David, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm David. I started this journey probably about 2 years ago. Got our medical spa up and running, you know, a good solid year ago, and we're going through, uh, a great learning process on how to make this thing work.
Can you tell me a little bit more what you do at the clinic and the results people have seen from coming there?
So, one of the big things that we have, that I wanted to start with is I love the idea of stem cell therapy, regenerative health, and all of that. And a lot of that has, like, it's morphed into a lot of medical weight loss, which is kind of what's carrying our business right now. But I do think there's a huge uh, benefit and huge future for stem cell therapy. I've done them myself and gotten fantastic results. We've had a few other people in our clinic go through it. I think it's a matter of time before people really start catching on to what this type of health clinic and like thinking forward and actually preventative health can really do for people in their lives.
Excellent. Can I ask you about stem cells themselves? Have you had any difficulties in way of bringing stem cells and the knowledge of stem cells to the general public? Are there other restrictions, and what agency restricts that?
So there's a lot of agencies that restrict that, and the basically the federal government is they don't want us really talking about the benefits of stem cells. Like there's a lot of regulations that don't let us talk about it. It's starting to loosening up a little bit because there's so many benefits with it that it's just like I said. I believe it's a matter of time. Like the results are so good that the lobbyists from the pharmaceutical companies and everything that are kind of keeping this down, in my opinion, that we'll be able to this is going to become much more mainstream.
And then for your first exposure to stem cells, uh, you had them done yourself. What was your personal experience with it?
So I did them in a couple of ways. So I was in the military. I broke my neck, and over the last decade, so I'm a firefighter as well. And I've been having some constant pain in my neck, right here, and
Hmm.
it's just become a constant ache as the years have gone on. It's just something that I was like, oh, this is probably something I'm gonna have to live with for forever. And started doing some research about 2018, 2019 on regenerative health and kind of going down that rabbit hole. And so finally, I found a company that I could actually get high quality stem cells from, and that would send them here within the United States, and we're able to get those in. And I had them not only done injected like with an IV, but I also
Uh,
had them injected intermuscular around on either side of my neck. And to be honest, like it kind of scared the crap out of me when I first got them in. And so as I started with this, and it kind of best way I can describe it is it blew up on like balloons on either side of where my neck was messed up. And like it actually shot my pain up. I was just like, oh crap, what did I just do? And then over the next the day, like kind of started going down. I got my IV with the stem cells because there's a reason why you do the IVs, and you're trying to get a benefit in an actual specific pain point. And I'm sure we'll get into how those stem cells work and all of that later. But with this, it took about 3 days, and it was a Friday, and I woke up on a Sunday. I was kind of like, felt like just something was missing, something was off. And so I was like driving around about 3 hours later, and it was going around a roundabout near my house. I was like, the pain in my neck is gone. I was like, and I had not had that in roughly a decade. I had not had pain in my neck. And so and that was early May, and I still am feeling fantastic. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but like so far, it's lasted since May.
Excellent. When you decided to open up your clinic, and it's Pinnacle Health and Spa, that's what you have right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Originally, back when this first started, I remember when I started heard about alternative medicine. I was at a concert, and I was in the bar, and I met a fellow up in the bar, and we started talking about some kind of chemical was for disease control. That's one of the things I do. And he started. I was talking about lower back problems. I had severe lower back problems, like dramatically bad back problems. And he talked about stem cells. I had no idea. I had no clue. That was 54, 53 at that time, and I had just found out 2 years before I was type 2 diabetic. And one of the things I remember asking my doctor, I never forget this, was now that I'm type 2 diabetic, what do I do with this? And they just said, just take metformin. And I asked the doctor, I goes, how does metformin work? And the doctor said word for word, we don't know. Just take it. It works. And launched myself on a personal journey of discovering how my body was working, what caused the diabetes, and also I've had stem cells as well myself, twice. I don't go to chiropractors anymore. I don't have back injuries anymore. That's my personal experience with it. Okay. And you've mentioned that you had people at the clinic that had positive results as well. What type of things did they relate to you in feedback?
So, a lot of the benefits, like their pain benefits, their regenerative health benefits. We had one gal, my wife. She had the stem cells actually injected kind of around her eyes. She had some dark circles and stuff, and those have not come back. And so she also had them. She did some microneedling and did those in on her face. She did the IV stem cell as well.
Okay. And roughly how long ago did you guys do that?
We both did it in May. That was when we were able to have enough, you know, information, have the right people in place to be able to do it.
Okay. And from what I remember, the doctors that talked to me about that are in the know about stem cells, the body runs in a regenerative cycle of every 8 months. From the bone marrow out to the epidermis copies, you're a copy of a copy. So you should be seeing peak results about now, right in this time frame. So, and that's awesome. So, with other things that you do at the clinic, let's delve into that a little bit more. So you guys are doing stem cells, um, and we'll go into other aspects of this as an entrepreneur about the restrictions, that kind of thing, and how it's making it difficult to advertise it because you have to dance lightly with this, correct?
Oh, absolutely. So there's so many things that we cannot advertise for. Like we couldn't put out there that hey, we have stem cell therapy, and like we can't put that on any ads. So we're building up right now our SEO and things like that so people can actually find us. But right now it's all word of mouth.
Okay. And then, can you just? I know because I'm at the clinic. I know you have like things like Myers cocktails, NAD bags. Um, I mean, for the common person, I mean, just like I was in that bar back in 2017, I had no clue. I mean, I'm like stem cells. What are stem cells? It was a course changer for my life. So Myers cocktails, NAD bags, that type of thing. What type of benefits have people seen? What type of things? I mean, do they do? I mean, could you delve a little bit more into that?
Yeah. So IV bags, like I'll be honest, that's probably one of the number one things we send people to the hospital for is a lack of hydration. And so like IVs, like yeah, getting people hydrated, that's a huge benefit. But then we are able to help people like with different, like with a Myers cocktail or NAD plus. There's different benefits to different vitamins that you can put into those bags. Like the NAD, it's really like it's amazing for brain fog. It's amazing for addiction support. It's amazing. Like it helps with regeneration. Like it is, the NAD is phenomenal. And so the Myers cocktail is kind of the gold standard for
Hmm.
IV, IV uh, can't even think of, yeah, an IV bag. And
Okay.
so it's what everybody comes in. Like if you're trying to prevent things, you're trying to, you know, get over having the flu, having a cold, like, you know, you want to be able to have your body have enough minerals and stuff. And that's the fastest way for you to get, you know, those minerals to your body.
So you noticed a couple of days after doing an NAD bag, was there any benefits that you saw yourself, or did you get feedback from clients?
So yeah, absolutely. And so pretty much I get within a day or two after getting the bag, like a lot of the feedback is like your mind gets clear. You can think more efficiently, and it's like that brain fog being lifted and cleared out. And there's people that you know, I know you've done a few of them that can, you know, suck a bag down, you know, 45 minutes to an hour, and there's other people that, you know, it'll take 2-3 hours to get a bag down, and it's just because, you know, you get kind of best way to describe it is like a little bit of a head rush and things. So it's like slow that down, make it as comfortable as possible. But like everybody's unique, everybody's different. But one thing that has been consistent is that clarity of mind has like it happens. And especially when you're doing the bags, like you have a series of 6 that you do initially, and then you can, you know, start doing them once a month for maintaining it. And like it is, like it's awesome.
I've noticed myself since I've been doing it a couple days later or afterwards, my thought process is off the charts. I'm super thinking things. I'm coming up, excuse me, with new ideas, new perspectives that I wouldn't be thinking of before. And I'm just a lot more sharper and quicker thinking. Myra's cocktails. Okay, you talked about that, and again, we're dealing with something for a layman here. Let's pretend we're back in 2017. I don't know nothing. So these are intravenously fed, like an IV drip. Okay, both of the Myers and the NAD bags.
Yep.
The Myers cocktail that helps with immune system response and perking up the immune system. How does it do it, or what's the theory of how it does it?
So it's the combination of the different vitamins and minerals that are in there. It's giving your body, you know, the stuff that it needs to be able to boost its immune system and to be able to address whatever, you know, whether it's protecting your body from what's going on or if it's you're fighting something off. And so it's just that it's that cocktail of vitamins, then it's giving it right into your bloodstream so it can get, you know, everywhere where it needs to be.
Okay, and then glutathione. You seem to be a real big fan of that. You get really
Yep.
excited every time I bring it up.
Oh, I love me some glutathione.
Okay, tell me why.
And so glutathione is the mother of all antioxidants. And so we all have free radicals and stuff in our system. And that is the, you know, the best way that I found, like you get your shot and it's going to help, you know, clear that stuff out in, you know, layman's terms so that you'll be able to, you know, do what you need to do. And it helps with everything from being sick to, you know, to stress.
Okay, all right. So we've covered Myers cocktails and NAD bags. I know that there are now NAD injections at the clinic. You get vitamin B injections. There's amino acid drips as well.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the benefits of these other types of injections and drips. I mean, and from your perspective,
Yep.
and also going into feedback with what clients have said, and then I'll drop some perspective after
Yeah.
that.
Oh no, absolutely, and it's one of the best reasons why I have you know, multiple nurses on hand is they can actually break down exactly what these things are doing within the body, and so I'm the owner. I love the fact that the stuff works, and you know, I pay people smarter than me to actually be able to explain it all, but and um, so like the B12s, like we go with the methylcobalamin. It's the, you know, it's the higher quality B12 injections. It helps with energy. We obviously, like vitamin D is amazing, especially here in Washington with our liquid sunshine. We're coming into our, you know, typical fall and winter season that lasts till, you know, next July. And
Okay.
you know, getting your vitamin D is so essential for just, you know, from taking care of your bone health, your muscle, your immune system. You know, that's super important to be able to do it that way. Let's see, we combine our the NAD injection with we call it our performance shot. It's our amino acids because you you need to be able to absorb it properly, and those amino acids are what help your body to absorb the NAD injection. And so, like, we do pair things together, for specific reasons. And if you're not able to absorb something, then what's the point?
And when I started going to the clinic, one of the things that I was looking to do, because I delve into anti-aging myself, and this is a journey that started back in 2017 for me. Um, the superhuman protocol, okay, the EMP pad, okay, the red light bed. Let's start with the EMP pad. Uh, so you lay down on it. What is that doing in theory to the body? What's the perspective of what it's doing?
Oh, it's PEMF, so pulse electronic magnetic field. And so basically, have you heard of like earthing or grounding?
Okay.
And so, where it's good to stick your feet in the sand, feet in the dirt, you're grounding, you're connecting with the earth. The, you know, the concept of how that works, the earth is a giant magnet. Our cells are all polarized, positive and negative. And so when we're connecting with the earth, we can slowly start, repolarizing our cells to where they should be. So this mat is like earthing or grounding on steroids. And so it throws a 5-foot magnetic field around you. And I have this, picture that I would show, everybody. And it shows like our cells and stuff, they're kind of clumped together, picture like a traffic jam. And then so after just like 10 minutes, these cells are like they're pushed apart. And so everything can now, your cells, everything can flow properly, and you can bring in up to 900% more oxygen into your body, which helps with everything from like the biggest thing is like performance, repair, and just helping your body function better.
Okay. And then you start off on the pad, then going to the bike and having the oxygen introduced into your system. Myself personally, it has a dramatic. I'm not even using my asthma medication. I use a preventive. I can't say the name on the air. It's a little disc. You flick the little button,
Yep.
breathe into it, but we can't talk about who's who. It was great stuff, but now I don't need it.
Yep.
And so that's one of the huge benefits that came about from that. And then the red light bed. Um, Explain a little bit more to the common person or a person that's never delved into this. What is a red light bed doing? Because it's a big deal
Yep.
nowadays, and it's gotten good publicity and bad publicity in some aspects, but way more good now in this time frame than it has in the past years.
Well, there's very wide spectrums of red light therapy, and there's things from the bad side is like because if you get a red light, people will say, oh, this is a red light bed, it's getting red light therapy, when that's not. There's different frequencies and things, and so you may not be getting more than a placebo effect if you're not getting the right frequencies. And so, but jumping back just a little bit, you were mentioning the bike and the oxygen therapy. So that's going from the PEMF into the exercise on oxygen therapy. Now I put it on a bike because it's just easier to stay stationary with you having a mask on. And if you're trying to do burpees and that sort of thing with a mask on, you can get that mask ripped off. So that's why the stationary bike works so well. And what that does is it hyperoxygenates the body. Again, like there's a lot of benefits to having that high flow oxygen into your body.
Okay.
And then going from that, and basically it's prepping your body now, with the PEMF, and now to having your cells and everything flowing properly, to now you're hyperoxygenated, to going into the red light bed, which you're getting the benefits of the sun without the harmful UV rays. And so what it does is, we have a medical grade bed because there are your $5,000 red light beds with, and then you have your $90,000 red light beds. There's a reason that those beds are more expensive. There's frequencies and there's the light diodes and things that are the lower frequency. They're just much more costly to produce, and so it's like you want multiple frequencies going in and benefiting your body from the red light, or it's not just red light; it's near infrared as well.
Okay. And then I've read up that red light actually helps with excite mitochondria in the
Yes.
cells and help support mitochondria. Could you delve into that a little bit about that? What
Yep.
is it doing to the mitochondria?
So it's stimulating the mitochondria to produce more adenosine triphosphate, so ADP, which is the energy of the cell, which is the energy of the body. And so if you're giving your body the energy of what it needs, like it can help with sleep, it can help with stress, it can help with your body's ability to repair, it can help with performance. It can help, like there's so many different things. It can help with, it supports weight loss. It's I can't say that the red light bed medically helps, like does weight loss, but what it does, it helps your body flush out toxins and things. And so weight loss is a supported byproduct of your body operating more efficiently.
Okay. And in essence, what you're describing sounds to me like that red light is actually helping with the metabolic process and invigorating it
Yeah,
at a cellular level.
absolutely. Like you can stimulate, it's 360 degrees all the way around you. And yeah, you're getting, all the trillions of cells in your body are getting benefit all at once.
Okay. And so for setting circadian rhythm, um, is it better to do red light in the mornings or is it just, I mean, is there anything going on with that?
So it's best to be able to you fit it in where it works into your schedule. Like for me, I've noticed that so I don't have a huge amount of time, but I'll go in before work at like 4:30 in the morning, and when I'm getting ready to work my full 24-hour shifts, I feel better throughout that 24-hour day when I'm up all night than if I would get that extra 2 hours of sleep. And so like that's a huge thing that I go, like is going to the clinic. I do the whole the superhuman protocol, which takes about 40 minutes,
Okay.
and do that before going into work. And it's
Mhm.
just the effects last all day.
And you mentioned that you're pre-training and getting conditioned for triathlete, I do believe you said.
Yeah, I had a buddy who is roping me into doing a triathlon. So we're going to be training up for the Hawaiian 70.3 Ironman. And so we're getting ready to do that.
When's that coming up?
Oh, well, with the business, I told him I had to, focus on that. And so we're doing it, we're waiting until 2026. So he wanted to do it this year, or sorry, 2025. But, I got to prioritize what I'm working on right now. And then by 2026, I'll absolutely be ready, but I'm starting to train now.
And your vision for it, are you adding more services at some point, or what do you have envisioned for long term for the clinic? Because now your business model has changed, and it went away from the franchise entity is to you have more freedom now. What other types of services you're offering? I know that you anestheticians. I know there's the things like uh, traditional like things you'd find at a cosmetic clinic, Botox, things of that nature. Explain more about what you guys got up there on that end.
So, one of the things, yeah, we wanted to bring in more of the aesthetic portions. And yeah, like the Botox, the fillers, that's what people know. But there's also things like PRP and PRF that you can actually stimulate the body's, natural, like collagen and elastin. And so you can do things that are like natural fillers that you can fill in spaces, under your eyes, down here in the chin, like all around. Like it's pretty cool what you can do with your what is in your own body. And so you can take blood out, you can spin it, you get the PRP or the PRF, you heat it, you cool it, and you turn it into like this gel. And like it'll like I said, you inject it like my wife had it all like along the bones of her eyes, like it puffs stuff up, which is what it's supposed to do, and then it goes back down, and like it just stimulates that longer term collagen and elastin production, which gives you more youthful skin while using your own stuff. And but in can be used in conjunction with the Botox, the fillers, the Sculptra, all of those things as well. So we're doing like it's a combination of what we're doing, because like there is a huge benefit to like when people look in the mirror and they see themselves, like there's a mental health benefit to that if they can like see themselves improving. Like, a lot of people come in and it's like, yes, I see this for myself, but when look in the mirror, that's not what I want to see. And so when you start helping people move down that road, that is it's amazing how that can impact so many different areas of their life, but just because it brings back confidence. And what confidence will do for people is it changes everything.
Okay, and then the PRP, I'm familiar with this because I've had it done. When it's injected, it gets the immune system to go to that area and repair damage. It basically tricks the immune system to locally go where when it was described to me, it mimics if the flesh was burnt or there was an injury, and then all the immune system, all the abilities of the body just hyper focus on that one area and start
Yep.
working. Now for doing your PRP method, is that something you guys do quite often, or has that been?
That's one of the newer things that we're still working on. I've had PRP done. Like I had tennis elbow on both sides. I got it from actually doing training, doing too many or adding weighted pull-ups and adding too much weight too quickly, and I jacked up my, my elbows, and they got tennis elbow
Yeah.
real bad. And so then I got to the point where it was like painful to open a doorknob, and that I had to like stop doing pull-ups, had to stop doing certain activities, and it didn't. It did not go away. I had that for about 2 years. I got to where I could, function and live with it. But I actually did a combination of stem cells with PRP, and I injected it here, and into both elbows, and it was again that one took a little bit longer, probably about 4 to 6 weeks before I really started noticing that it was gone. And again, it's like something that it's I do not have that problem, and it was there for 2 years.
What's your wish list for the clinic? Because I know you talked about cold plunges at one point.
Oh yeah, I love the cold plunge, and so
Okay, let's delve into that.
so I think there's a lot of benefit, and there's a lot of studies and science out there that shows your body having benefits to like heat shock proteins, cold shock proteins, and being able to go from extremes and having your body exposed to those. And so when you're training your body to uh, do extremes, when you're doing everyday stuff, the stress, your body can handle that stress just so much more efficiently. And it's kind of the mind over matter thing, and you can start armoring your mind, and like you're jumping into a 37-degree cold plunge after being in a 200-degree sauna for 15 minutes. It shocks the system. If you've ever done anything like that, it's like you go and you jump into this freezing pool, and it's like every pore in your body feels like a needle's getting jabbed into it for the first few seconds, and then you breathe through it, and then after 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, it's like you just keep telling yourself to breathe, and it's like it's amazing what the human body can do.
Now, one of the things that I'm gonna go back in time here, right? A little nostalgia between me and you. Um, you had never heard of Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard Medical Research.
Nope, not till you started talking to him or talking about him.
Um, and everything that you've been describing actually ties in with a lot of the theories and the research that they're doing right now.
Yep.
So, I mean, actually, I noticed that it was Pinnacle Health and Spa and Longevity, rightfully said. So, I mean, for what you're doing up there is actually preventive medicine. And in my opinion, it's the way Western medicine should be handling everything rather than like the way we do it now. And bear with me on this. You get sick, you go to the doctor. Like for me, I turned type 2 diabetic. And I went into the doctor, hey, how'd this happen? I used to be an athlete when I was in my 20s. I was a real super skinny teenager, really weak kid with asthma when I was in elementary. How am I overweight now? How am I type 2 diabetic? What happened? Well, this is just what happens. Take your metformin and, you know, move along. And for preventive medicine, there's not avenues for people to seek this out rather than going on the internet and finding products. There's not information out there. They can't. People just can't walk into a place. That's what makes your establishment, your business, so unique. I don't know of any place around the Northwest other than a naturopathic doctor that you just roll on in and say, "Hey, I want to get an AD bag, or I want to get this, or I want to get that," and get stuff done in a professional, hygienic manner and a professional environment. So you have my total respect.
Well, and yeah, and we do like we have a team of nurse practitioners and a medical director. And so whenever anybody comes in for, like a NAD bag, you're filling out medical forms, a professional is looking at it and they're making sure that you are a good candidate. Like it's not just walking in and saying, I'm not the one saying, "Oh yeah, you're good to go." No, you're getting a medical clearance for doing everything that we do. And so what you're talking about with like the Western medicine, Eastern medicine, so I have seen, as a firefighter, and I've seen Western medicine, like there's a lot of amazing benefits to Western medicine, how, they've been able to, you know, change people's lives and impact people's lives and, save, countless billions of lives. But the problem is they want people hooked on it. And so there's not money, there's not incentives for, the cure. They want to keep people on medications. And then, you look at every one of these commercials that, which is, rather strange that we're one of the very few countries in the world that allows pharmaceutical companies to actually put commercials out there and, try to sway the public to go to their doctors and say, "Hey, do I need this medication?" Should be the other way around. But, you know, I don't believe that Western medicine is incentivized to do the cure or provide the cure. And that's unfortunate. And so that's where I believe, having a combination of Eastern and Western medicine and doing like, I shot my eye out with the bottle rocket. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm a firefighter, did something dumb. And I was instantly blind. I ripped my cornea off, lodged a piece of metal in my iris, exploded my lens. My eye was a big pile of goo. And so I went and went to an ER. I literally like knocked on the back door, like punched in the code, and was like walking in. I'm not waiting in the back with my eye all jacked up, and so they went and they sent me to Harborview after they saw the metal and everything in there, and I spent 3 days up there. They reconstructed my eye, and then I could not see through it at all. Like it was like trying to look through mustard, and so then I went and I saw, some, multiple eye surgeons, and I saw 5 different surgeons that told me, "Oh, I hope you can be a half-blind firefighter." I'm like, "I would be a half-blind firefighter?" Like, I, no, that's not how this works. And so I kept seeing different ones, and finally, I met a guy or got referred to him, and I went and he put me in for an emergency surgery because I had ruptured that lens, and that protein was in a part of my eye that I'm not supposed to be in. And so with the proteins in there, he said it's possible for my body to actually be building antibodies against that protein, and it could cause like major eye issues in both eyes and potentially go blind. And so he went, scheduled me for an emergency surgery the next day. He cleared all that out, and I went from being able to being able to not see through that to basically everything. I could see shades and colors and that sort of thing. To took me, excuse me, 4 years later, I now see 20/25 out of this eye. And so there's a huge benefit to modern medicine. But that same doc, I had cornea transplant, lens implant, probably 2 dozen surgeries. And um, even like that doc was like, "Okay, like you need to be on these steroids for the rest of your life, these eye drops." And I was just like, "No." And he's like, "What do you mean no?" He's like, "Your body's going to reject that cornea if you don't do it." I will do it short term. It's like, "But what is the steroids doing?" It's like, it's reducing the inflammation. I was like, "There's tons of stuff that I can do naturally that can reduce inflammation." And so I went and I reduced the inflammation in my body. I went off of the steroids after, 3 months. And, I have had no issues. And that was back in 2010 with, my cornea transplant. And so I believe that modern medicine and things like they are fantastic for the short term, but if you're looking for longevity and you're looking for actually feeling good and living a good life, you have to do more of the taking care of yourself with eating good foods, taking care, doing, I believe in like doing the red light therapy, making sure your body's getting the vitamins, like, and that's the other thing is getting good food. That's a hard thing to get in the United States, as if our bread is classified as a cake in most other countries because there's so much sugar in it, which is insane. But we need to be doing something to take back control of our own health. We need to be, kind of, you know, captaining our own what we want out of life and how we want to live it, and just not waiting for somebody to push a pill on us until we get one symptom, then they push another pill to cover the symptom for that symptom, then push another pill to cover the symptoms from those other symptoms. I see every day people taking handfuls of 10, 15 pills all at the same time, and it's just like, well, that's the world we live in now, and it's unfortunate, and I think there's a lot of people waking up to that's not the reality that they want to live in. And so, and they're not just people in general, but doctors and everyone else are starting to see that, maybe there is, a happy medium between, this pharmaceutical, uh, like conglomerate that's pushing everything and pushing all the drugs and pushing all this training, and everything, so that, there needs to be options out there so people can actually choose to get off of those things. And they're out there, but you have to do your own research and you have to find the right people who will actually help you do it.
Okay. Um, in your opinion, I mean, it's 2024. When I was a kid, they had sci-fis, and there would be like space stations circling the Earth. We got one going up right now. Apparently, they're going to drag it down here pretty quick or whatever. And there were, missions to Mars and possibly going out of the solar system by now. Um, do you feel that, and you touched upon this, that medicine for profit, and there's nothing wrong with capitalism. I'm just going to say that right now. Okay. But medicine for profit, it, the problem with having the capitalism aspect into it, it's for profit. And having medicine for profit, there's more money in treatment, and you touched upon this. There's not much money in cures. And if you could make an anti-aging drug, you took one pill a day, right? And you took this for like 200 or 300 years, if we could live that long, right? I definitely think people would pay for it.
Oh yeah, and they're working on stuff to help people be able to live into their, 120s, 150s, 180s. I think we're going to see that within our lifetime. That's what there are doctors out there who are treating aging as a disease because, basically as I understand it, our bodies, they stop producing hormones. It stops as we age, it stops producing things. But if we continue to produce those things like we did our hormones and chemicals in our bodies when we like in our 20s and 30s, there's no reason for our bodies to actually, die off the way that they are. And so they're working on, treating, they're trying to cure aging, which is phenomenal. And we're going to see leaps and bounds in that, in the not too many, future years.
When I introduced you to look into Dr. David Sinclair, you delved into it, I would imagine, to a point.
Yep.
Okay. And you were like, well, who's this guy? And when I talked about the age reversal in the mice, the age reversal apparently in primates,
Mm-hmm.
not in the United States, in laboratories in other countries. And it's to my understanding that Sinclair is actually got approval for the FDA to inject eyes with his modified agent for glaucoma to regrow the eyes. This is all being done on a genetic level where the cells copy themselves correctly at genetic prime, and then the eye just grows back. I've watched every interview the man's done. I'm a huge fan. They're talking about injecting organs, injecting with no side effects, no tumors, no cancer popping up, no quote mutagenic reactions, that type of scenario. Um, you're you and your clinic are on the cusp of like a new wave of medicine, in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's one of the things that drew me into this is trying to be on the leading edge of that and try, and so it's not just your typical med spa. We do want to, go look to the future and try to, help people, look, perform, and feel amazing, and it's not just about extending your life, it's about extending your life well. And so I'm not the, trust me, I don't want to live a long time and, live in a bed and be a vegetable. I want to live as well as I can, as long as I can. And my wife hates it when I say this, but I want to die fast. And so I want to go, 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 and then be done. And, if that means living to, 100, that's awesome. 120, awesome. But, whatever that is, that's, you know, that's what I want. That's what I see. I want it for myself, and I want it for myself. I want it for other people. And so we need to be able to offer that to, the masses and get that out there. And it's just getting information out there and, letting people dive in and, figure out for themselves what they want.
I guess in kind of a metaphor and analogy type scenario, if you had a car, this is how I view Western medicine, the approach. If you had a car and you never tuned it up, never changed the oil, and then when it starts acting up, then you go to the mechanic. I think we treat our cars better than we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
And I also, one of the things I was talking to a group of people, and they asked about, well, how are you 61 years old and you look the way you do? And I started talking about all the things I do and the science behind it. And they said, well, God, that's so much money to be spending on this, and that's so much time. And the response to this, so much money, I looked at this group of people. I said, how much money do you invest in yourself? All of these friends of mine are affluent people. Okay. And I asked them, like, how much money do you invest in yourself? And everybody put up zero.
Yeah.
A couple people go to the gym, right? So they can look good and, because they're in the dating pool in the late 50s or, mid 50s or what have you, or late 40s. Um, but again, back to the car. Why would you not change the oil in your car or tune your car up and wait for it to start misfiring or it to seize up? Um, you would take care of it so you don't have to go to the mechanic, because going to the mechanic is expensive. And who wants to have a breakdown? So really, what the approach that you're taking is getting people in tune with their bodies, in tune with their health, and giving them the knowledge to kind of and the tools to do preventative medicine on themselves in a professional manner. One of the things I was impressed about when I first came to the clinic was the machine that you stand on and then it does the reading. Can you talk a little bit about the machine? Because it was like literally for me, and it's going to sound corny, it was like I was standing on something from the 24th century.
Oh, that the scanner is awesome. And so that is one of the things that like hooked me into actually starting this specific business. And I'm going to go back a little bit towards what you're saying. Like people aren't, necessarily investing in themselves. The average American is spending $12,900 on healthcare per person. Like that's just the way it is. That's just the number that Americans are spending on average. Looking at their insurance premiums, looking at all of that, 12,900 bucks. But it's all like you were saying with the car, after the car's acting up and everything, it's like, why can't we figure out how to spend that money to prevent the car from having issues, to prevent our bodies from having those issues? Like there's so much money being spent. Like we're spending $4.3 trillion a year annually, you know, in America on healthcare, and we're sitting 30th in the world in infant mortality rates. Like it's a joke. So there's something wrong with the system. And so, and again, I believe more and more people are catching on to that. But so, what I like about that scan is that scan gives a really, really good picture of where you're at wellness wise. Like, it's not a, we have had people sign a waiver, like, this is not a medical diagnostic machine, but it does give really good information on where you're at wellness wise. It goes in and you you stand on it. It has this big screen. You connect it to a pulse ox. We take your blood pressure, and you stand on these different plates. It sends different electrodes and frequencies throughout your body, and it's it spits out this 15-20 page report, and it gives you an overall wellness score. It gives you very good detail on where you're at with your body composition. And so if you're coming in to lose weight, we can actually help you focus in on like losing the right kind of weight. And so like one of the biggest side effects to Ozempic, Wegovy, like those sort of drugs is people lose muscle as well as fat. And so we can actually help you like track that so people can catch that early. We do the scan once a month, and we like, hey, we talk to them, hey, you're losing, like you're doing good on your muscle growth, you're losing this much fat, because trying to lose, you know, hit a number is what a lot of people do with their weight. But I would gain and lose over 100 pounds in a year at the firehouse. It was, the whole yo-yo diet thing. I would go, I'd hit a number, I'd feel good, and I'd start eating, and I'd put on the pounds until, I couldn't. I had to sit down to put my socks and shoes on. Nope, that's my cutoff. I'd start starving myself, start working out again, and I just go back and forth and back and forth. And now, it's like I can actually track and be like, okay, I've lost 27 pounds of actual body fat. I'm up 10 pounds of muscle, and I can actually, you know, lose the right kind of weight so I can actually keep it off. I can build muscle so as you have more muscle, your body's burning more calories at rest. And it's, you can track that progress and you're not having to guess. And that's the cool thing about that machine. And another cool thing about it, let me grab some water real quick, is so we had, again, this is not a diagnostic machine, but we had a gal came in and she had a severe decrease in circulation on one side of her body. And it's like, hey, that's not diagnostic. But like for me, I had a separated shoulder in the military, or sorry, a separated shoulder when I was wrestling in high school before going into the military. And I have a little bit decreased circulation there. And it's just like, yep, there's a little bit less blood flow on my left side. And so she did not like that answer. And so she went and started doing some tests. She found out she had cancer. So we couldn't continue with some of the treatments and things that we were doing because when somebody has cancer, they gotta really focus on that. And um, but she was able to use that information to find out something that she didn't even know she had. We had another gal who it the scanner it gives you an internal cardiac age, and so it'll actually measure like the elasticity of your arteries. It'll measure how much blood is being pumped out of your heart with every beat. And this gal, she was in her 60s, and her internal cardiac age was in her 80s, and she did not like that. She was not happy. And so she went to her cardiologist and like showed him this and was like, look at this. And he's like, what is this? What are you what are you shoving in my face? Like, I don't care what this is. And she just kept pressuring him. He's like, fine, I'll run some tests. She had a genetic, she was predisposed to having a widowmaker. And it was something that genetically ran within her entire family. And her entire family now is being tested for this. And so like she called our clinic in tears saying that, hey, like you like literally not only like saved my life, you did all this. And it's like, oh, okay, we just did a scan. We're taking care of you. You took the information, you did what you needed to do with it. And you found out that, she had that, genetic trait that ran through her family. And so she was able to, figure that out. So it's just getting the biggest thing that we're trying to do is inform and educate people. And then people make the decisions on what they want to do and how they want to move forward.
Okay. Do you? That's very inspiring stories. I had at the clinic, I had my test done, and when I came in, I think it was October, was it November, something like that. Initially, I think I scored on the cardio was I was 54 years old. I'm at that point in time I'm 60. I'm 61 now. So I got COVID, and that threw me for a loop, as we well know, right? You saw it.
Yep.
And then I started bounce back from it. And we just recently did the test again. I came up at 54 years old again for cardiovascular. And that ties in with a lot of the theories I have about anti-aging, there was very minimal change in my body from that time period. One of the things I love about the scanner is you can use it as a baseline to fine tune yourself. With the type of things that you're doing now, and especially after those stories you told me, that moved me. Um, do you find that this is like your calling, and this is something you're meant to be doing? I mean, because you obviously with that woman and her whole family, you the machine picked up something. If there's no clinic, there had been she never would came in. She would have never found out, and probably till something dramatic happened. How does that must like move you? I mean, or
That is a that is such a hard question to answer. I know that I want to do good and do right by people. And so this is kind of the next phase on what I'm doing. And so, I served my country in the military. I'm a firefighter. I love being there on people's worst days to make it just that much better. But I get very good at compartmentalizing because it's just like, sometimes you can't make things better, but we didn't cause that problem. We didn't create that scenario.
mm,
And, that's all we can do is, be there, do our best, go back and wait for the next one. And so this, I saw this as something that, I believe in. I've buried too many of my buddies in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that, they died way too young. And so I did this on like for a selfish reason is how I started it. And it's just like, I don't want to die, you know, in my, 40s and 50s. I have two young kids. I got a, 1 year old and 2 year old who, they, should be able to see me before, they shouldn't have to watch me die when I'm in, when they're in high school or before. So that's, what motivated me to start going down this path. And so now it's like I see what this is doing for me, and it's like, yes, this for those people who want it, I want to be able to put it out there for them. And so, it's a win-win, and who knows where this venture and this journey will end up taking me, but this is the next step in what I'm doing, and yep, I'm happy to be doing it, but who knows where it's going to lead.
well, it's already led to a lot of good things already. Look at the impact you've had. Um, and then you're going to be adding some new things because now you're no longer constrained. You can take the business model and treatments and so on and so forth and do as you wish at this point. So it's an old 80s term, you're freestyling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't realize that medical weight loss would be the thing that would be carrying us right now, but it is what it is, and we're leaning into it. And we're saying, okay, this is helping a ton of people. And again, like it's something that when you help somebody lose 50, 60, 70 plus pounds, like it changes their life. And it's awesome to be able to witness that and to be able to, see what that does, not just for them in that moment, but how they live their entire life, how they are, we've had people who are like very like limit on their mobility and watching them how much more they can move and function. It's improving people's quality of life. And so it's not, looking at it as like, okay, I'm going to be the weight loss clinic. Well, it's like, no, that's still changing people's lives. Like it's awesome. And so we can lean into it. And that's kind of like the first step in the longevity process. Like you go see these people who are living in their, hundreds, 110s, like they're, none of them are obese. None of them are huge people. And so it's like, okay, they're doing something right. And so this is the first step in that process. And then, we're going into the aesthetic side because people not only want to feel young, they want to look young. And so then it's building that confidence and, supporting that mental health and doing the right things by people. And then, I'm doing that. And then, we're keeping that thread. It's going to come in time, but I do believe more and more stuff is going to happen with the stem cells. And, we seeing the benefits with the IV therapy. And, people just need to be educated and informed. And, we're going to find the right people who are looking for it because people are starting to look for it.
And then for, uh, and this is a new concept in American medicine, in my opinion. I mean, again, I, you know, for, I mean, there's places you can go get NAD bags and that kind of thing and naturopathic, but to actually get like a clinic setting where you can come in and get kind of evaluated and then kind of address what you got going on with your own decisions. And again, it's like the car. Okay, it's time to change the oil. It's time to do a tune-up. Or hey, there's a loud noise in the motor. Maybe we need to take a better look. And those stories, that's kind of like that's where those went. What's the future for you? I mean, the other thing too, unfortunately, we couldn't have your wife here today. I was hoping to interview the two of you because as an entrepreneur myself, when you're an entrepreneur and you have your significant other, it is very taxing on the relationship. I mean, there's being an entrepreneur is like being on a roller coaster. There's the high days, and then there's the terrifying moments when the roller coaster is making a hard turn and going upside down. It's not for everybody. I mean, it takes nerves of steel sometimes to navigate a business. I mean, you have to have vision. You have to have uh, stuck on stubborn is one of the phrases I would describe myself. You have to, you just have to put your feet down and just keep marching forward no matter what. Um, but at the same point in time, you have to kind of guide the ship. And that's another analogy I use. You have to make sure you're steering in the right direction. Where do you see the business going for yourself? And then how's it impacted your anything with the two of you? Because I mean, I've seen you guys interact with each other. She's extremely supportive, and I mean,
Yeah, Bree is absolutely amazing. And so we we kind of got, I'd say roped into this is the wrong term, but when we initially bought into a franchise model, the idea was to be doing this with putting in 10 to 12 hours a week. Well, that's not what has happened. And so she, has, been, she saw what we were doing. She believed in what we were doing. We have put everything we have into this. And she is not only supportive of me doing it, she is supporting it herself. Like she's coming in, she's doing what she can. She is a teacher. She gave up her summer break to be in the clinic and be helping getting this thing off the ground and getting this thing going. Like she's in this as much as anybody. And so I'm with you. I wish she could be here today. She had to be home, take care of the boys, and being a teacher, she's a little under the weather, and so she's gonna. She had unfortunately had to stay home and do that. But so yes, even when you're doing the right things, guess what? You can get sick. You can get stuff on, but it's how fast you can recover and how fast you can heal from it and do the right things to get over the stuff quicker. And so um, now that so we had followed a business model that I don't believe is well, that's why we switched, and I don't believe it was going to lead to long-term success, and that's why we uh, switched over to Pinnacle, and we had to tear down our house, like you know everything, because I was trying to follow a model that was not proven. And so now, after it took me about 9 months of learning, breaking everything down, and finding out, okay, what is actually working? What is because if we don't survive as a business long enough, we're not going to be able to help anybody. Let alone if like being able to provide for my family and everything, um, which is a huge benefit because we have a son that has some developmental concerns and issues that we're struggling. He's going to need me or my wife or both of us home more frequently, especially in the beginning, to help set him up for success in his life. He's going to need a little extra work, and so which we're not afraid of. We're ready to help him. Like he's such an awesome kid, and he's so happy, and it's just working with him for communication aspects. So that is that's kind of what drove us to getting into this business model. But that we got enticed by 10 to 12 hours a week, and now our reason for doing this still exists. You know, my wife's not doing it just for me, but she has been amazingly supportive of it. She, you know, we're doing it for our kids, and you know, to make this work, and we're doing it for, you know, we're seeing it for ourselves so that we can be there for our kids. And if it's good for us, other people are seeing, you know, these benefits as well. So it's going to be good for them, and it's just going to keep spreading that way. But we now have been able to rebuild this to where, you know, we're going to make this work. We have the foundations. We're building that up. And once we have one, it'll be that much easier to take one and turn it into two, and two and turn it into four, and four and turn. But that's going to take time. It's not going to be all of a sudden we're going to go from 1 to 100 in a year. Like, that's just not reality. So we need to just do it a piece at a time. As much as I would love to be able to have the capital and have the funding to put this out everywhere, we want to be able to build this intelligently so that, you know, so that the business can last and the business can succeed, whether, you know, I'm there supporting it or not.
Okay. One perspective I remember was kind of it just warms my heart because I remember I had COVID. I got to the non-infectious stage and I couldn't kick the congestion in my chest, and it was a real problem. I mean, I got really sick. From This would be the third time I had COVID, and I remember I came in and Bree goes, "We're gonna get you fixed up." Like literally, I'm probably quoting her verbatim. And her and Julia, I mean, I had a Myers cocktail bag. There was some other things they did, and 2 days later, it was like 1,000% improvement. I mean, I was breathing on my right lung. I could actually take deep breaths in. Things dramatically changed from that point forward. So, from my perspective, I mean, the clinic is an essential part of who I am and what I do with my weekly routine and my mindset. It's that the whole philosophy of it behind it is something I believe in. I believe that Western medicine, yes, it has some great advantages, but the approaches, it's backwards. Okay, I mean, let's get them sick and let's treat them. But there's things, variety of ailments out there that probably could be cured, that there are no cures. Um, and I think that a lot of the incentive for a lot of companies because they're trying to capitalize, and I'm a capitalist myself, an entrepreneur. I believe in the American way, but there needs to be more work on what makes people better in the long run, or what would make somebody like less sick if they were eating better and doing things. If they're genetically predispositioned to get something, maybe they could skip it by just making some preventative tests between genetic testing and just something as simple as a screening machine. And sitting down and taking a look like, okay, well, you're predisposed to this. Or one of the other things you brought up, which I found was interesting, is with people who are diabetic. I heard a term used by a physical fitness trainer: skinny fat people. Okay, they're actually skinny, but their muscle ratio is like way down, and their fat is way up, and they looks thin, but they're not. What's your opinion about catching health problems early on, and how does your clinic and how's your philosophy fit in with that?
Well, the earlier you catch something, the easier it is to destroy it or fix it. And so if there's a health issue, you know, it is easy to fix in its infancy stage rather than, you know, it's like catch something, you know, you can address cancers and things now, like even before you even know you have it. Like there's these, you know, genetic testing. You can get um, your entire genome mapped with, you know, some simple blood tests and swabs, and you can get, you know, literally checked for genetic markers for cancers that you're predisposed to. It is much easier to address those like before you even have those cancers than if you're at stage 4 where you're on your deathbed. And so, you know, before those things take root. And so we can start doing those things ahead of time. And so if, the earlier you can do things, the more of an impact it's going to be, and actually the easier it is to take care of it.
Okay. And then so say for example, I'm someone concerned about my health, or I have a predisposition in my family for heart disease, diabetes, or all the above, and I come into Pinnacle Health. I mean, and I like how I just say I'm concerned about these type of things. I'd like to be screened and see what I need to be doing for fitness, and what type of things would help, or how would somebody do it?
So when someone comes in, and it really, like, a lot of times people are coming in specifically for weight loss or for energy, for like whatever it is, I try to, me and my staff, we try to have conversations with them. It's like, what are you looking for? Like, what, you know, try to get them looking into the future for what they are trying to solve and the life that they're trying to live, and piecing that together. And there's certain things, that's why we have people fill out these, the medical forms and everything, because yeah, if somebody has um, diabetes and they're taking medication for it, we're not taking on treating their diabetes. So they have their primary care physician who's like, hey, before we can help you with weight loss, you need to get approval from your primary care physician. And so then, like, we help people both ways, and we've had tons of people who have been reducing their medications and people who have gotten off of their medications, you know, while working with their primary care doc with us, and with our medical director and our team of nurse practitioners, so that they can move forward and they can feel better, live longer. And it all depends on what their goals are, but most most people are like, they kind of want the same things. You want to feel good, you want to live a good life, you want to be a good example for your kids and your family. Like, that's what we all want. We want to be that person that somebody can look up to and be like, yep, they did it right. And as you know, the ever expanding waistline of the American public in general, which is that every year it just seems to be getting worse. It's like, that's I think people are starting to catch on and starting to get sick of it and wanting to address it, so that, hey, they can be proud of themselves, and they can know that they can overcome kind of what's been put in front of them. And so a lot of it's hard, like, because with the food and everything else that we're given, and the hidden chemicals and the hidden sugars and everything else, like, it is hard to eat right. And that is like, you know, even before trying to have the pharmaceutical companies treat our issues, like, it's like there's a lot of issues with our food. And so it's a difficult thing, and trying to get people to look at all that, but it's about getting better every single day. And so if somebody can start looking at their food, if they can start seeing what they want and try to get that little bit better and a little bit better, and they just keep building on that, and they'll just, they're going in a year, you'll be amazed at how much further, or how far you've come, if that makes sense.
Okay. With one of the things that you touched upon was infant mortality, and in my opinion, children are the future of humanity, literally, and we don't invest enough in our kids. And I'll point something out. You talked about additives in food and sugars, just basically just junk to make it sell better because it tastes so darn good. God, I just gotta go get that, that super cake.
It's addictive.
Thank you, thank you. It is addictive, but what we do with school lunches, and our tax dollars go to that, right? I think we feed I think we feed animals better than we do our children in schools. And that might sound crass, it might sound wrong, but I think that because their brains are developing, right, and their hormonal levels are developing, they're little people growing up, they should be fed premium food, especially if it's at school, because they're active, they're using their minds, they're engaging things, they need all the support they can get. Um, and I one thing that came up, one of the previous administrations was talking about broccoli and more vegetables. I don't see a problem with that. That's healthy eating. Kids might find a problem with it because they don't want to eat that stuff, but it's good for them, right? Um, uh, Additives that are in, say for example, in milk. Okay. Time Magazine did an article. It was years and years ago now, about why girls are going into puberty early on, and it's because of additives and just stuff that we're having in food. Okay. Um, One of the things that does Pinnacle touch on, like clean eating and clean nutrition and designing meal programs as part of the weight loss.
So we do not do that in clinic. We do like with the scanner. It does give you customized food recommendations for your body's inflammatory response.
Okay.
And so it's not like an allergy test, but it does say, hey, your body does have, it does respond inflammatory to these foods, and your body responds really, really well to these foods. So we give you ideas as to how to move forward. We are building out partnerships with different gyms and different nutritionists and things like that, that for people who want those, customized recommendations, yeah, those are fantastic. And as much as I want to say that I want to do everything and bring it all in house, maybe one day, but to build a good, solid foundation for a business, got to build one piece at a time. And there are tons of experts out there with food and nutrition, and we would, you know, recommend those people out to those specific nutritionists. But again, it's a lot, and it's a fire hose of information when somebody comes in and they're trying to get where they want. It's like, let's figure out the little things that you can do every day to get a little bit better. And so if you can do a little bit better with your food, and then you start going down that path, and eventually, yeah, they might want to look at the nutritionist, they want to look at those things. But if you try to you know lose 100 pounds in a week, it's gonna be a tough go, and you're going to get discouraged. And and the whole goal is to help people get used to those small victories, moving them forward, doing a piece at a time. And like I said, there's experts out there that I would love to refer people to when they get to that point where they want that nutrition advice, because it's a hard process, it's a hard thing to learn. And because when you go in, it's cheaper to get the crap in the grocery store than it is to get the good food. And it's easier to get. It's easier to throw it in the microwave than it is to actually go and buy it and cook it and you know make it make it good to eat. And so people, we want that. What's the right word? We want to be satisfied now. We want that instant gratification, and so that's kind of what we got to fight against, that mentality.
Okay. With Let me ask your opinion on something. Okay, it's Robert Kennedy that's running with that was running for president, correct? That's supporting Trump now. And his approach, he talks a lot about nutrition. And I put a lot. I have a beautiful friend of mine, and she is a highly intelligent woman. Okay, and she talked a lot about additives in food are causing weird development patterns in children growing up. If you think about how many different dyes and chemicals are in foods, right? The kids are eating. And I saw a thing on social media one time, and it showed a aisle, and there was a variety of different food products there. And the understatement said, "This is not a food aisle, it's a chemical experiment." So if you were, and they teach you this in different, not to mix chemicals because you might make something new, right? But if you're eating like this product that has this dye in it, you're eating this product that has this additive and this dye, and you're munching all this stuff down all the time, and then you're stopping off, for our wonderful fast food establishments and drinking pop and chemicals, chemicals, chemicals all the time, and you're 4 years old, um, that possibly can't be making the bones and the eyes and the brain develop the way it's supposed to, because that nutrition is skewed. There's chemicals, there's things being thrown into our babies, our youth, that in the long term, the FDA um, does long term studies, but I don't think anybody's done a long term study that went decades. Like, hey, how about if we supersize everybody and just feed them this, what happens in 2 decades to them? Where are they going to end up at? You see a difference in our youth nowadays. I see a difference in our youth nowadays, and our youth and our children are the future of humanity. They're the most precious investment we can make. You've got two wonderful children.
I
I've
got 5.
five. Okay, okay. Well, you're one up on me. I got four. Um, but at the same point in time, it used to drive me insane when my significant other at that time period would take them out for fast food, and she would do it constantly all the time, like day after day. And now, knowing what I know about the human body is probably one of the worst things that you could ever have done to kids. Um, when you look at how 20 or 30,000 years ago, how Homo sapiens ate, they basically woke up in the morning. They were cold, wet, and tired. They're under stress right away. They had to go hunt immediately. Otherwise, they would starve. They would exert themselves. They would make a kill. They would gorge themselves on it, and they would nibble on the little things they found throughout the day towards nighttime, and then they would go into another cycle the next day. Those hunter-gatherer genetics have not gone away. Now, I mean, we're in a society where you're in a car, you're basically sitting in a bench, you're not getting any exercise. You pull up to a window, you're handed a bag and a, a vessel of liquid chemicals, and you drive away. And then about 2 hours or hour and a half later, you're starving again because your body's not receiving nutrients. Um, do you feel that at some point, I mean, with having partners and affiliates aligned with Pinnacle, that you could address some of those issues for American society?
Yeah, it's like what you're talking about with addressing disease early. The earlier you can address this with kids, like teaching them to eat right, teaching them that you get them to actually wanting, like when you start eating healthy, you start craving that process or, eating, because, and then when you start and you eat, the fast food periodically or anything like that, you feel like garbage. Like if you really cut out all the sugars and you cut out all that stuff and you really do a good job with it, and then you start putting it back in, you got to get uncomfortable to get used to that again. And so, yeah, I absolutely agree that these are things that, people, they got to be consciously looking at and they consciously got to think about it. And it's just, it's that mind over matter. You got to get away from that. I need this instant gratification. I need it now. And that's what, it's what's being instilled, yeah, not only in us, but in our kids and everything that we're seeing. It's just like, hey, we need this now, 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 now. I don't work for it. Just do this. It's cheaper, it's easier. And, you don't have, don't think about it. But like you were saying, you eat that food, you're hungry 2 hours later, then you eat it again, all of a sudden you're eating 6,000 calories. And, you know, that hence the ever expanding waistline.
Do you feel, in your opinion, and this is your opinion as a medical professional, but your opinion as an individual, um, do you see a difference in how often children are autistic or have learning disabilities now with modern food?
So there's definitely a rise that I've seen in it, and that would be probably the best question for my wife to be here and to answer because she has a very she's a she's special ed certified and she works with a lot of uh, kids in schools that are that fall into that category, and as well as we have family members that fall into that category. So um, there are many reasons for it, and yeah, I do think that the food that we eat does impact that.
Okay. And then my theory is combining things. I mean, I have a friend of mine, she has four children, and there's her 7 year old is hyperactive. If there's a certain dye in a drink that if he drinks it, and she heard this from other mothers with kids with ADHD, it triggers them into like spiraling out of control for a while. And I actually saw it with my own eyes. I watched his behavior change within 15, 20 minutes after drinking it. So don't you think there should be more enlightenment about nutrition and preventive health? Because really, I mean, the mission of Pinnacle, it's cutting edge. What you've got is cutting edge. But at the same point in time, I mean, really bringing, you wanted, your passion, it moved me when we first started talking, when we first met, and you wanted to bring this to the masses. Like, I'm like, why is this stuff like not costing more compared to other places? And you said, I, don't care about that portion of it. I want to bring this to the masses. I want the common person to afford it. And the clinic, I mean, and it seems to be working. The place is always busy, and it's helping people. At the same point, what got all these people there, right? And I have a term I use, and I kind of use this loosely, the supersized generation, right? Like I went out one night, and once in a blue moon, I'll get fast food. We won't just delve into why I was out late, okay? But I was. I went to someplace. You drive to a little box, and you talk to it, and they hand you a bag and some chemicals, and slug it down, and you go away. I went there, and I said, they go, you want a regular size, medium size, large, or a super max? I'm like, a what? I mean, there's a fifth size now, and I was like, okay, not the huge one. How about just regular? Like, I already feel guilty for driving up here in the first place. But it, in your opinion, I mean, eating all that stuff, once you get to a certain point, it's like tuning a car back up. If you don't have enough, if you have too much body fat and you don't have enough muscle, in my opinion, that's the road to diabetes and a lot of health problems. If you're eating a lot of certain types of foods, and your body's not metabolizing it properly, it ends up building up in your arteries, and it turns into plaque, and it goes into your brain. It does all kinds of like bizarre stuff. Okay. Do you see Pinnacle down the road morphing into addressing health problems because in my opinion, I think it's a huge, uh, it's the next horizon alternative medicine, preventing it before it even happens.
So I think there is a lot to be said about that. And yes, like, and to answer it shortly, but we need to take things one step at a time. And but it comes back to people need to want it. And so if they want it, they need to be educated on it. If they educate, and when they're educated on it, they can now make an informed decision on how they want to move forward. Because a lot of this, you know, yeah, they've proven the foods we eat, it causes diabetes, it causes things, medical issues. That's not conspiracy theory or anything. It's like when we eat a bunch of crap, we're gonna feel like crap. We're gonna have, uh, you know, the medical issues. We're gonna have those things we have to deal with, and so it's like, we have to retrain ourselves to be able to look at things differently. And if it took a lot of work to put on that extra 50, 60, or even that 25, 50, 100 pounds, and you know what, it's going to take a lot of work to reverse that. And so, but once you reverse it, it's like you become a different person, and you are like, and it's not just through the the easiness of it. It's because it's a struggle. And one of the things that we are really, really good at is helping people get that struggle started. Because in the beginning, taking that first step is one of the hardest things. And then taking the next step, and then taking the next step. And if people can just start seeing the power and the value of being a little bit better every single day, they're going to see how far they came. And they're going to see that, okay, I don't need to go get that fast food. I'm going to take that extra time to, um, make the food. And so simple things like, chicken nuggets. You can get those little dino nuggets, and maybe I'm not allowed to say that, but they're just little compressed stuff, and my kids love that. And I like doing research, and finally I was like, probably not the best thing. You look at the back of what is on most foods, and like you're saying, they're bags of chemicals. If you can't understand the words that are on the back, is your body really going to know what to do with it? No. And so it's like, taking chicken nuggets and teaching my son is like, hey, we have an air fryer. Now take this chicken breast and cook it like a chicken nugget. Take 20 minutes instead of 2 minutes. And now you have a cooked chicken breast. It tastes better. It fills you up better. It's going to stick with you longer. It's going to be better fuel for your body. And you just got to wait. What's the difference of popping it in a microwave for 2 minutes or throwing it in an air fryer for 16 minutes? That's all it takes. And he just has to wait, be a little patient. And like, I don't have to do anything now. I just literally buy bags of chicken breasts and he can go do that on his own.
One of the things that through Dr. David Sinclair's interviews and things he's talked about are animal proteins and how they are bad for cellular replication. And people are they're primarily fruits and vegetables, fish and eggs seem to be doing just fine. Vegetarians, I mean, I've seen people that are vegetarians that look 10 years younger, dramatically looking. I mean, like they're women in their mid 30s that look like they were 25, 26. Um, with the amount of like additives, because we're in a capitalist society, right? And again, what the food industry is doing and what agriculture does affects people's health. So hear me out on this piece of it. So if you're injecting or giving chickens or cattle or whatever animal something to get them to grow quicker so you can slaughter them faster, and then your kids eat it, and then they're slugging down like some like red weird looking Kool-Aid stuff to go down on top of it, along with something in their nuggets. Okay, that's been it was processed. Not only was it given a growth hormone or some type of a kick to get it to grow quicker so they could slaughter it faster so they can make more money, but all these chemicals, all these steroids, uh, bombarding little people as they're growing up. And then you combine it with different things like vaccines and that type of thing. It's a chemical show. You're combining and keep combining things. I don't think anybody studied any of this long term. Um, I would enroll you and invite you to as the leader of your company. You're the CEO, right? Maybe look at like addressing as one step at a time. As this journey takes you down the road, and maybe address some of these things. And a 12-year-old shouldn't be obese. I mean, how many kids are overweight now? I mean, I don't think humanity's changed genetically that much in my time period. I mean, it takes, um, but yeah, kids are overweight. I mean, a lot of people are overweight, and you have people that come from other countries and they come here, and they're not overweight, and they bring their family here, and then the next year, within 2 years, they're overweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something's wrong with the food. And you have to be really cognizant of it. And, you know, I'm not perfect with it, but I try to do the best I can. And so, but I do notice whenever I leave the country, any GI issues that I may have, they magically go away in a matter of like a day or two. And then you come back and that stuff starts coming back. And, you know, it's, I don't know how to fully get away from it. Like it's super difficult unless you're raising your own chickens, you're raising your own cows, you're growing your own food. And as much as I would love to say that I could do all that, that's not where I'm at in my life. So I, again, comes back to you do the best you can with what's out there, and I try to stay as much away from, you know, look at the back of the little things like look at the back of the box, look at the package, look at the food. If it's all chemicals, maybe try something that's a little bit different, and just try to move that way because yeah, as I think most Americans, they don't have the time to be their own farmers, as just not that's not where we're at in society.
I would agree. Um, so, what do you see for Pinnacle in, say, 5 years?
So in 5 years, like yeah, right now I'm still looking, 3 months down the road, looking at this next weight loss season and building up towards that. But it's not just getting to the point where we have that uh, consistent flow of people, but it's getting more people to you know talk about these issues, talk about these concerns, bringing them in, like people trying to solve these problems, and it's just making this not only the information but the ability to gain access to the tools to help people move forward more accessible. And so, yeah, it's going to be something that I would love to be able to take to, multiple clinics, multiple states, and just, being able to expand it a piece at a time. But it needs to be built on a solid foundation. And there's a huge learning curve to like each one of these things that you're talking about. Yeah, they all are pieces that we can build in, but they all gotta be something that people can actually take something from. Like I've been to tons of seminars and tons of things, and there's so many like one of I've read Tony Robbins' book Life Force, and that's one of the things that really like, and it started when I wanted to go down this rabbit hole of longevity and health and trying to extend my own life. That really opened up my mind to, I was like, what is possible and what they're doing out there for aging and longevity. And you know I've been to, like I said, he impacts millions of people. He's trying to get people to just be a little bit better. And so if we can start building that out to where people can take something and start improving their lives a little bit at a time, that's what's going to bring this to the masses. Because if somebody comes in and they feel overwhelmed and it's just like they're bombarded with all of this information and they can't do one thing to get better that day, what's the point? They're just going to go back and sit back and be like, okay, it's just too much. So we got to keep expanding, and we got to keep making it easier and easier for people to just realize I can do this, I can get better, I can make these improvements. And it's not only making my life better, but it's making the lives of my family and those people around me better. And so, and we've seen that with multiple people. We've been able to help hundreds and hundreds of people take those steps forward.
You've just watched American Enlightenment. Thank you for watching. My hope is to ignite minds and bring unity through thought.